Marcellus, I'll start with you. You agree with me that...
I love those questions. You agree with me.
You agree with me
Fun
that
show.
that Sean McVay has diminished Todd Gurley
Yeah.
to justify Jared Goff.
Oh, man, look, that's certainly one of the slices in this pie. So I do agree with you. But I don't think that takes this into account in its totality. I think there's other things here at play. This is the greatest mystery in the NFL right now outside of what's going on between Antonio Brown's ears. Like, other than that, this is the one that is captivating. All right, I got three theories. One, I'm going to support yours in terms of incentive-shaped behavior. Since we paid a player, we have to play the player. And sometimes that's to the tune of phasing other people out. Rob Johnson comes to mind. Started one game in Jacksonville, got paid $25 million for my Buffalo Bills. Came out there 0-3, got benched, lost his job to a Pro Bowler in Doug Flutie. Went the entire year, went to the playoffs. Next year, Doug Flutie's the starter. Rob Johnson plays in a meaningless game right before the playoffs of the next year and does well. Flutie was just being rested for the playoffs. Next thing you know, Rob Johnson, because of that $25 million, who's been on the sidelines basically for a year and a half, almost 2 years, got to put him in the playoff game. Let's see what he could do. You know what happened in that. It was called Music City Miracle, and we lost. So that's lane one. You can support someone in that respect. Lane two, Sean McVay's like, hey, Todd Gurley has disappeared before me. Don't act like he didn't have 26 games in a row, and 25 of them he had fewer than 100 yards. So don't act like this is all on me. He's had his dry spells as right now, of the last 9 games, 8 of those fewer than 100 yards. But here's the conspiracy theory. Let's go here. Todd Gurley got paid in July 2018. That same year, December, The Shop aired. And y'all remember Todd Gurley sitting there on The Shop while LeBron James and others were talking about NFL owners having a slave mentality? And Todd Gurley didn't correct that, not in tweet, post-show, or not in the edit we saw live broadcast. I'm here to tell you that Stan Kroenke got a little more petty in him than y'all think. Do y'all remember when Stan Kroenke left St. Louis and how he let them people know it was on y'all, not on me? You add all those things up, now you got 3 slices of the pie that tells me the entire picture. I went there.
You mentioned that at the time, too.
I did. I said,
this ain't,
You've been consistent on the Todd Gurley thing, because I've heard you on radio talk about it years ago when Todd Gurley was struggling. Here's what I'll say. Sometimes I think it's natural for a team and a front office coaching staff. Sometimes when you get fascinated by a player, the player's been paid. Jared Goff has been paid. You're trying to show people, like, look how far my guy has come. I think what they have to do is they got to get back to understanding Todd Gurley's the engine to that offense. When that offense was running, it's because he was running well. He was catching passes out the backfield. The play-action passing game was phenomenal, and all of those things worked, and Jared Goff was a complement to that. Sometimes we want the quarterback to be the driving force of the offense before he's ready. And what we're seeing right now is Jared Goff isn't ready. And it's only a matter of time before they look at the film and they realize, hey, we got to go back to making sure that Todd Gurley is the focal point, and then everything else speeds off of that.
Yeah, this to me is more like a Judy Blume mystery than an Agatha Christie mystery. the idea that they're featuring the quarterback because they paid him an insane amount of money. They paid Todd Gurley an insane amount of money. It's not like we're talking about a rookie free agent and a guy who's been paid through the roof.
He didn't get $110 million guaranteed.
Okay, well, but he got the highest amount any running back has ever gotten in the history of the NFL. And a lot of people would say that's insane. Okay, now if you look at his per carries, since he got hurt, the 3 games in the playoffs, he had 10 carries a game. He's actually up in carries since he's got games. So let's factor that in as well. And then, is anybody going to even talk about the fact they were down 21-0? How many teams run the ball a significant amount when they're down 21-0 in a game? The game took shape. Maybe they should take some more of that money and put it on the defensive side when you give up 50 points. And how many times do you come out of a game and say, hey, we scored 40 points and lost? Usually 40 points is a really good number to win games. So the whole idea of, like, this is some conspiracy theory or they're mad at him or any of that, it's not even close.
Coach, you letting those facts get in the way of a good story.
Good story. This is
a really good story.
Know what's common about what you said with Agatha Christie or Judy Blume? It's all fiction. So, yeah, it's fiction.
and to pretend that NFL teams or pro sports franchises or any corporation doesn't have a bottom line budget that someone up above says, hey, man, justify this. That goes on in football. Yeah. It goes on here. It goes on everywhere. It goes on in factories, everywhere. That's pervasive. And we've seen it time and time again throughout the history of football.
Okay, we could say that, but didn't the head coach get a contract extension? He's got job security. It's not like he's trying to justify a decision to get a contract extension.
Sometimes it's just plain ego.
Well, no, because at the end of the day, you want to win more than you want to be right. And that's the most important thing. And these guys have won. They have been very effective. We're 4 games into it. Since the injury, his per carry game is up. So let's call it what it is. And they were down 21 points and gave up 50.
Oh, look, Coach, I'm going to say this. What's 2 plus 2? 4, right? Some things you just don't forget. You don't forget about damn Todd Gurley on your team. And they have forgotten about Todd Gurley in the last 9 games in terms of output. And even in the playoffs, despite the blip we saw in the Dallas Cowboys game, we're like, where's Todd Gurley? Todd Gurley comes to the podium, I'm fine. We don't see you as being fine based on production. The translation of language in the NFL is production. If you're not even giving them the same opportunities to produce last year and this year, even though it's an uptick, it's still below standard. Todd Gurley now is 16 touches a game. That's down for Todd Gurley. So I'm just wondering, where does the financial capital meet the human capital, where your ego does get involved?
I get that 2 plus 2 is 4, but they also went to the Super Bowl last year.
Yeah.
So that's production. They were 3-0 going into the game. That's production. They were down 21-0. That's reality. And sometimes, as much as you go into a game with a plan, the plan changes based on what happens.
And a lot of times, people, in trying to correct, we're down 21-0, let's lean into this, when you would have been better off staying the course. When you throw the ball 68 times and your quarterback throws 3 interceptions, fumbles once, that's 4 turnovers. Let me tell you a coach would rather be down 21-0 than have 4 turnovers, because turnovers will cost you the game. They almost overcame the 21-point deficit, if not for the turnovers.
Can we give them credit for fighting through that and scoring 40 points offensively
of
with
course.
all the adversity they had? Does the defense take any responsibility in this? Look, the game played out the way it played out. If you were telling me that this was the New England Buffalo game where it's a tight game and he had that many carries, then I'd say, okay, this does seem really skewed. We're talking about a game where they're down a significant amount off the jump.
Well, let's talk about the mentality. I'm sorry, Bucky.
No, I was just going to say, I just think the play calling is so much different. This year, just looking at the numbers, 64-36 pass run. Too many passes. Last year, they were 55-45. It is about the running game and setting it up. And, Coach, you talk about the defense. Well, the best way to play better defense is to not play defense, control the ball with the running game. It just seems like the Rams have gotten away from what made them really, really good. And even though they're sitting at 3-1, and if they go 3-1 each quarter, they're sitting at 12-4, it just feels different this time around than it did last year.
But Bucky, those statistics are a little bit skewed because you're looking at the end of the year. If we looked at it at blocks of time, it could easily have been more similar to the numbers that we have now. So over the course of the season, let's see where that run-pass ratio comes out. When you look at it at the end of 16, it looks dramatically different than the end of 4.
And what very well may happen, because this happens with the great coaches, they may spend a game or 2 off script, and they go back, and that's why they have the self-audits, and they have people that scout their own team, their own employees scout their own team, and people correct. The argument I'm making is not that Sean McVay is some blooming idiot and he's lost control of his team. He's gotten off course the first 4 games to me. Todd Gurley, I think, agrees with me and is frustrated. Let's see what happens Thursday. Maybe they'll correct. Maybe they won't fall down 21-0. Maybe they'll go up to Seattle and we'll see more of Todd Gurley. But to me, if I were scouting them through 4 games and trying to pinpoint, hey, what potentially are we doing wrong? The questions I would be asking, if I'm Les Snead or Kroenke, the owner, is like, hey, man, what are we doing here with the quarterback? Are we overexposing him because of the money we paid him? Is this what makes sense for us? What's going on with Todd Gurley? Those are legitimate questions.
I agree, but I would probably sit back and go, hey, we gave up 50 points. How can we stop that? We scored 40. That's good enough to win probably.
They're going to ask all those questions.
99% of NFL games you could probably win with 40 points. But you give up 50, and it's like, oh, why aren't we running Todd Gurley more?
Well, Coach, you can't win any games only scoring 3 points, and that was the Super Bowl. And when they went out there and put up 3 points against the Patriots, you know what Coach McVay said after the game? Horrible play calling by me. So he keeps showing us that something's wrong, but he's not taking the proper medicine. So we go into this season, and here we go again after last game. Bad play calling. I need to fix it. My thing is this. There's a Kobe mentality I like to talk about. I share some of this as well. It's not just Kobe. You want to win, but you also want to be the reason why you win. How does a coach feel about that? Who I like, who I want it to lean that way. Here's a microcosm of that. Seattle, Super Bowl, against your Patriots, and they are on the goal line, and they don't run the ball, and there were people who were saying, well, there was a reason they didn't run the ball, because there was an incentive to prop up Russell Wilson in that moment versus a Marshawn Lynch. Whether you believe in that theory or not, that is something of human behavior and reality.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. And be sure to check out more of the best clips from Speak For Yourself, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.